I knew what I was going to say about Hamid Choshkun's conviction today, and I had it all pat in my head, and now I come to actually to talk about it, I realise I don't really know what I'm going to say. So I'm just going to say a few things and then encourage you to add your comments, because there are parallels, I think, between the fact that Hamid Khoshkun has been charged under public offences legislation, not exactly the same as Lucy Connolly was charged. Both the offences were provocative, and I think it's the provocation which is the reason for the guilty charge, for the guilty verdict in both cases. Both were racially insensitive. One has a more precise religious aspect to it than the other, but both could be interpreted as being religious. And there's a discrepancy in the sentence. I think there's a question about whether or not either should have gone to court, or whether either should in fact merit a serious conviction. But what is certain is that both offences caused distress. Both caused distress, and both had a potential to cause a major crisis in public behaviour. In the first case, in Lucy Connolly's case, there was already rioting ongoing, or rioting took place shortly after she posted her intemperate views. In the second case, there was no riot, except that Choshkun was himself attacked by at least one person, possibly two, possibly more. One person stamped on his hand, I think. There was a person who was wielding a knife, and I think one of those people is coming to court in about a year's time or 2 years' time. So there's a big difference between the speed with which he has been brought to court and the speed with which they are being brought to court, and maybe there's a question to be asked about this. So this raises lots of issues. The biggest issue, which is going to dominate the headlines tomorrow, is whether or not we have reintroduced the repealed law of blasphemy by a legal backdoor. And so the shadow of a judgment, which reopens a particular debate, it blends ancient quarrel with religious conscience, modern scaffolding of the freedom to speak, our rights, and the volatile atmosphere of identity politics in a digital age. So Hamid Choshkun